I said this last week, and thank you for Champ for posting the video. Favorite Brian Pillman moment. I'm going to go first. Damn it, I'm going to say it. When Austin invaded his home in Cincinnati, Ohio, and in the gun video. I'm sorry. I love it. As controversial as that was iconic. I watched Dark Side of the Ring. Brian Pillman was great as a heel. His promos, ECW. Remember the one when he was fighting the pencil? And then on top of that, him with the cooking stuff. And then when the guy was about to punch him, but in order to avoid the guy punching him, he had to hold the baby. Brian Pillman, I mean, some of the things that he was doing, his antics, he and Steve with the Hollywood Blondes. I mean, he was so fun and so entertaining as a heel, man. I love that about him. He was provocative. He would get up in your face. And also, to Steve's point, he would read like a thesaurus or a dictionary to come up with some words for promos. And I just love that about Brian Pillman, man. He was all up in your face. But ECW Brian Pillman, no. ECW Brian Pillman. There's the one incident with him and Joey Styles in the ring. I cannot go any further what he was about to do. I think you know exactly what I'm referring to, champ. I can't go into the specific details. But boy, Brian Pillman as a heel, he was fun, man. He and Steve, and also too when he joined the Heart Foundation as well. So I gotta give big ups to Brian Pillman. I'll let you go, champ.
Funny segment, but it's kind of like this was the beginning of the Attitude Era going too far. Remember when he beat Goldust in that match and got the services of Marlena? So that was a very interesting turn of events. I mean, especially with all of the vignettes, I'm like, what the hell? As a child, I was like, are they allowed to do that on TV? But that was a hoot. And I'm like, good God. I mean, it was crazy. Funny thing about him and Steve Austin teaming up, that was not supposed to happen.
No, Steve didn't like the idea. Nothing against Brian, but he never liked the idea.
No. And plus, Steve was supposed to be getting a run at the World Heavyweight Championship. He was supposed to work with Harley. They were supposed to start him off working with Harley Race. And then he came into WCW one day. He's like, hey, man, what do you want our tag team? They'd be like, what tag team? I'm not being a tag team. I'm working with Harley Race. But, they put him on the back burner. So, but the Hollywood Blondes was good. They won the tag team championships. They eventually lost it against Arn Anderson, but in company. But that was a good tag team. Brian Pillman and in the Hart Foundation, that was real good. But one thing that people don't like to acknowledge, though, because it was such a revolving door at a certain point, is he was one of the members of the Horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the members of the Four Horsemen. And I never forget, they had an incident with him and Arn Anderson. He was doing an interview with somebody. And he just paintbrushed the crap out of Brian Pillman. I said, I told you to stop talking. And so that was another moment. But I think the biggest moment was him joining the Hart Foundation, number one. Number two, that segment with Steve Austin. And, that feud between him and Goldust, for the services of Marlena. I think that was a good one as well. Flying Brian, going too soon. Rest in peace. I wish he could have had a world heavyweight title run. Played for the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, he did.
Coach Kim Wood, he encouraged him to go to Canada to learn from the Hart family.
Yes, he did. And he actually won an award when he played for the Canadian Football League as well.
Yes, he did.
So, and not to mention the position he played, you wouldn't suspect that from a guy. He played nose tackle.
Oh, in his
So
early days, he was a big dude.
yeah, he was nose tackle. So he's a big dude. So just like Lex Luger. Lex Luger played nose tackle for the University of Miami. But Brian Pillman gone too soon. I never forget that. I never forget. Shout out to the great, the colorful Jim Cornette. I don't know if you ever heard the story that he wanted Brian Pillman in order to get his title run. They wanted him to hit him with the tennis racket a certain way, but Ole Anderson renounced it because he said, "Well, that makes Brian Pillman look weak."
I think
But
once you mentioned tennis racket, I kind
yeah,
of get the sense because I've seen Jim Cornette with them damn tennis rackets.
yeah, they was gonna hit him in the tennis racket a certain way around the facial area
Yeah,
and work an injury angle in order to get him over so he could finally get a title run. But Ole Anderson squashed it and said, "Well, that makes him look weak." But that was one you need to check out that interview. I know you like Jim Cornette, but you need to check out that interview. But
I will.
I hate that he did not get a world title run. I hate that he was taken from us too soon. And
35 years old.
35 years old. I'm only 37, so I was, hey, that just goes to show you every day's a gift. Brian Pillman was very entertaining, man. Flying Brian, man. I love when he was Flying Brian.
The loose
And
cannon.
yes, because he was people don't give him credit for how much high flying that he could do. When he was Flying Brian, he was great.
Yes.
So I hate that we have to look back on these memories when it comes to a lot of the wrestlers, and we have to cherry pick, because we got just enough, but not nearly as much as we could have. But
A- Absolutely. Gone way
yeah,
too soon, though.
yeah. But big ups to his son. I think his son's a wrestler now.
Yes, Brian
And
Pillman Jr.,
yeah,
AEW.
yes, he is. So big ups to him. And look, that family legacy lives on. And big ups to the Hearts because they trained him properly. And I just wish we could have got a little bit more. When you think about guys like Flying Brian, Magnum TA, you think about the title runs that they could have had and how big they could have been. But unfortunately, their career got short, or in the case of Brian Pillman, he got taken away from us, due to certain things. But I liked him. He was very entertaining, and you could not fake a voice like that.
Yeah.
You could
And
not fake the voice.
it's interesting, Champ, because he had to do it and he had a raspy voice. I
Yeah.
mean, if you go back and if you read some of his history, I mean, I think he had like heart problems, stuff like that, and was still able to cut promos. That tells you a lot of determination in Brian Pillman. And the thing I loved about Brian Pillman, I don't know if you watched The Dark Side of the Ring, the way he was able to negotiate deals with
Oh,
WC.
he
Yeah,
was smart. Hey, when you talk about a guy that's saying you're not gonna mess me over, yeah. I think he did that without an agent too, didn't
yeah.
he? Yeah, he did that
Mhm.
without an agent. So
Stroke of
hey,
genius.
yes, that's genius. Whatever you can deal with these big wigs about your contracts and stuff like that. That says about how much business savvy you do have. And he negotiated his deal with the WWE while he was hurt.
Didn't he also do that with WCW with Bischoff?
Yeah, while he was hurt. You remember
Yeah,
he broke his leg.
yeah. But I mean, hell, he would have one hell of a career as an accountant or something. I
Mm.
mean, boy, the way that he was negotiating them deals, man.
Mm.
BRF.
Mm. Speaking of underrated talent, Brian Pillman was definitely an underrated talent. Um, Honestly though, yeah, I mean, I think everybody when you think about favorite Brian Pillman moment, it's gonna go back to that Monday Night Raw when Austin 316 meets Pillman.
Right.
You know you know the rest he said. Yeah, that was very that segment was wow, was like definitely one of the easily at the time, being my age and getting into wrestling, well, particularly the WWF at the time. that segment just had your eyes like just they take it's like take it back. It's like okay, I wasn't expecting this. I'm just not getting into it at a young age. I'm not expecting Brian Pillman to do that, but it sta- it stands out. I'll tell you that much because man, people still talk about that. Like even after that incident, like it's just it's crazy. Um, Lord, I'm trying. He, for me, yeah, just for me though, like outside of that one, he didn't have like a too many moments. He didn't have too many moments that kind of like you know that kind of like captured your eye. But he what he did was just like I mean really the Hollywood Blondes, just him and Steve Austin, heck of a team, heck of a team. Yeah, I think I'll say yeah for this one. I don't think another Brian Pillman moment really stands out for me more than just like what Champ said when Stone Cold invaded that house, but it was the interview before Austin got there where
Mm-hmm.
he basically talked about what he was going to do, and that moment was just great because Austin got in the house and he had it pointing at him and the network was like, "Yeah, no shutdown. We're gonna take you off right now." So yeah, it was like, yeah, definitely one of the yeah, as crazy as it sounds, it's definitely one of those images you think about when you're looking at like the beginning of the Attitude Era. Brian Pillman and Stone Cold Steve Austin was definitely one of those rivalries that helped usher in what the Attitude Era ultimately became.
All right. Stay tuned for next week for our favorite wrestling moment because next week, favorite Stephanie McMahon moment.
Ooh,
Mm.
I like that.
Yep. Favorite Stephanie McMahon moment.